16th of December has taken on many guises in South Africa. It's been celebrated as the Day of the Vow and Dingane's Day. It's now called Reconciliation Day and is aimed at social cohesion and nation building. This year, government is marking it in the Northern Cape. It's being celebrated under the theme of the Year of Charlotte Maxeke, promoting reconciliation during the 25th anniversary of the Constitution. eNCA's Lindsay Dentlinger has more on the story and joins us now. Lindsay, good afternoon again. What does government say about its progress in fostering reconciliation?
Well, 25 years since the enactment of the Constitution was recognized this week, Minister Nathi Mthethwa telling the crowd that had gathered here that there was still a long way to go. There are many obstacles, many challenges to reaching reconciliation, but that should not make them give up in this reconciliation project, that it is still one worth trying to work towards, and that they shouldn't give up. But that also recognizing that reconciliation cannot happen until people are empowered economically. He said particularly black people and black women in particular need to be empowered, and that reconciliation discussion cannot happen without a discussion involving people being uplifted from poverty. Here's what he had to say earlier today.
Reconciliation requires social and economic redress. Reconciliation has to be about a real change in the material conditions so that the quality of life of our people, disadvantaged by colonialism and apartheid, progressively improves. For reconciliation to be meaningful, black people and black women in particular need to be economically empowered. We have walked this path together since 1994 with notable successes and pitfalls along the way. Our people have shown great resilience in the midst of many challenges they continue to face each day. It is a heartening fact that whilst the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment and inequality remain real, our people still have faith in this important national project of reconciliation. It is this unwavering belief in the project, in the midst of despair and desolation, that should be used as a foothold to encourage us to do even more. As government, we remain committed to the national reconciliation agenda.
Now, Lindsay, the minister also spoke about the link between GBV and reconciliation. Can you just expand on that?
So he's saying the COVID-19 pandemic, firstly, Mfundo, has just exposed patriarchy in all its forms, and it's part of the reason why government chose Charlotte Maxeke to the significance of this year in her name, in her honor, as they commemorate Reconciliation Day today. And that also partly, the minister said, was because the liberation narrative also needed to be rewritten. Women tended to be on the fringes of that narrative, as seen in an auxiliary role to supporting men in the liberation struggle, but they wanted to recognize the importance of women too in commemorating a day like this. And during this pandemic, again, patriarchy had been exposed, the extent of gender-based violence once again exposed, particularly during this pandemic. And the minister saying that, again, we can't talk about reconciliation until women and children in this country are safe and live without fear. But this was also not something that government could achieve on its own. It really needed all sectors of society, and of course most gender-based violence begins in the home, and he was saying that it was everybody's responsibility who had attended this gathering today to do their part to eradicate gender-based violence, because until that happens, again, we cannot talk about a society that has been fully reconciled. So let's just take a listen to what the minister had to say on that score.
Government alone will not succeed in eliminating the scourge, since it is most rife in private spaces and amongst acquaintances. This means that closer cooperation of communities and families with law enforcement agencies is absolutely critical. Too often, the perpetrators of gender-based violence are those known by victims. This calls for joint efforts by all in ensuring that women and children begin to enjoy safer spaces and are guaranteed the same personal freedoms and safety as their male counterparts. Part of the conversation as we continue with the advocacy work against gender-based violence is that the strategic interventions must also speak to behavioral change as a representative measure instead of just merely reacting to grievous acts against against women in our country which would already been committed. In this regard, we want to make this special appeal to state agencies and civil society groups to intensify engagements with men and boys so that they become an integral part of the struggle against gender-based violence and femicide. It is about time that men and young boys shoulder the responsibility for ending gender-based violence and femicide. There can be no real reconciliation in this country, nor can we be a nation at peace with itself if the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide persists.